We know all the things surrounding Zach LaVine has not been good, but let's keep it a buck. This team is not good either. So in today's episode, I want to talk about who deserves the most blames for this Chicago Bulls mess. Oh, I got to turn up on this one. We going to talk about it, but we got to hit the music first. Cognac. Gang. Shy Bulls podcast with the Cognac Boys. I'm Cognac Boy Bobby, and I'm holding it down on another episode of Shy Bulls podcast with me and my co-host C-Dub. If you like what you're listening to today, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so every time we drop, you'll be one of the first ones to know. The Chicago Bulls, they lost last night to the Miami Heat. That I kind of feel like that's been the norm. Loss, win, loss for your Chicago Bulls. But now the record stands at 5-10 for your Chicago Bulls. It doesn't look too bright. It doesn't seem like there's much light at the end of that tunnel for the Chicago Bulls right now, especially with all things considered. But I want to talk about who deserves most of the blame. Do we point the finger at some of those players? Do we point the finger at head coach Billy Donovan? Or do we look upstairs to the front office and ownership? I mean, because we can go ahead and talk about how the players and all these different guys that has come into the Chicago Bulls these last few years have not quite mixed well together. We can look at Coach Billy Donovan and we can say, hey, your coaching style is not that good. To be quite frank with you, it stinks. We could talk about the rotations that he's been implementing over the last few seasons. We could talk about the lack of shooting that's been on the coach, and that comes, on the team. That comes from, guys just not hitting shots. Maybe that coincides with some of the style of play that the Bulls want to incorporate and things like that. And we can also talk about there has not been a real legit point guard in a Chicago Bulls uniform since Lonzo Ball. I understand that we got guys that we can look at. We seen Ayo Dosunmu coming in as a young Bull and try to accomplish those things, but Billy Donovan sat him down early for the sake of Goran Dragic, who wasn't even on a team by the end of the season, killed his confidence, let him go on, boom, boom, boom. Insert Kobe White, who I believe is making some turners, who's turning that corner a little bit, but it's still going to take time for us to fully see what he can be as a point guard for the Chicago Bulls. Or lastly, do we look at the front office and the ownership? That's where I'm going to look today, ladies and gentlemen. I'm looking at the front office and ownership for being responsible for the Chicago Bulls bullshit we continuously see for now the third season in a row. We'll go ahead and say 2.5 seasons, because that first half of the season, those 35 games we got with Lonzo Ball, that was some excitement in there. And then Lonzo Ball went out, and these guys and everything went downhill. It's been the same thing after the same thing after the same thing, and we are sick of it. Let's keep it a buck. You know what I'm saying? The front office and the owner are the most to blame for this bullshit. Why? They make all the decisions, right? They sign players, they trade players, they release players, they put players up in position to go to the G League. They got scouts, they evaluate. You're supposed to go ahead and establish some type of player development, some type of things that go ahead and bolster this team up. But it seems like the owner only gives a fuck about payroll. Let's keep it a buck. This ownership in this front office, they hire the coaches, they bring in players, they get personnel to do things, and let's keep it a buck. The owner has been okay with putting out bullshit for too long. As long as the bills are being paid and profit is being made, Jerry Reinsdorf does not give a shit about us as the Chicago Bulls fandom and love. He does not care. Only thing that matters is at the end of the year, before we got to go ahead and make sure we file taxes for the following year, when his accountant say, hey, we made profit. Now, if you want to save a little bit more, you might have to donate a little bit of money so we can make sure we remain in a certain tax bracket, and then make sure we maneuver in another way so we can get a couple tax breaks. Y'all, all my people in business know when that time come around every end of the year, you speak to your accountant, you speak to the person that's handling all your finances, and they say, hey, we kind of reaching this threshold. You might want to donate a little bit so we could reap some of those benefits. Then Jerry Reindorf, he goes ahead, he throws out something. You see some Chicago Bulls player in the news for attending some type of book bag giveaway. I'm pretty sure with Thanksgiving coming up, you'll see some turkeys giveaway, and it's just saving more money. Oh, let's not forget that this guy went up in there and fouled for the disabled player exception and still has not used it, ladies and gentlemen. It's all about the dollars. So that's who's going to get the blame for me. He chose Fred Hoiberg over Jimmy Butler. How did that work out for the Chicago Bulls? I know how it worked out for the Miami Heat. They didn't win it, but damn, at least they fans got something to cheer on to see their team in the finals. We ain't been in the finals since what, 98? 98? I was 4 years old, ladies and gentlemen. I was 4 years old. 3. If we keeping it a buck, I was 3 getting ready to turn 4 that November. Like, let's keep it a buck. This guy went ahead and sent these guys in the front office went ahead and signed Billy Donovan several days after he was just fired by the Oklahoma City Thunder. You interview guys like Kenny Atkinson and Ime Udoka, who I believe are better coaches than Billy Donovan, and you said when you signed them, AK and Mark Eversley, you couldn't stop smiling. Bitch, are you smiling now? Are you still smiling now? Let's keep it a buck. Are you still smiling now, my friend? You mishandled, you and your guy, Mark Eversley, Artie. Y'all mishandled the Lonzo Ball injury. Y'all sitting there waiting back, twiddling your fingers. Go ahead and say, hey, the fans are happy with the first 35 games we put out there. We can get back there. So you go ahead and mishandle the roster. You wait for Lonzo Ball again, and you say, hey, we going to run this thing back. We going to look at continuity. We going to go ahead and not do a damn thing. Not do a damn thing. And now look, so much of the turmoil from the front office and the owner is now trickling down on how they mishandle this roster and mishandle Zach LaVine. Period. What has Billy Donovan shown in his tenure with the Chicago Bulls to deserve an extension with this team? Absolutely nothing. Nothing that's conducive to winning. Nothing that's going to contribute to some playoff success. We got one playoff win in the last 3 years under Billy Donovan. One. You couldn't make it out the play-in after you was up with 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes left against the Miami Heat last year. You couldn't do that because guess what? You reverted back to what the issue was last season again. Your rotation stink, and the way that you think basketball stinks. I understand you got a bunch of guys that can come out here and vouch for Billy Donovan, and that's totally fine. I'm pretty sure he's a nice guy. But this ain't about nice guys and giving out participation trophies, ladies and gentlemen. This is a production-based business. And the wins ain't adding up. The losses are piling up. So I got to put that at the guys that are at the top. That's the ownership and the front office. They lack accountability. What good GMs, and no matter whatever the sport is, they know how to just wash their hands with their losses, adjust, and make their mistakes something right. These guys are still holding on. Nikola Vucevic came out there during the offseason and pretty much said, hey, we thought Lonzo Ball was coming back. We weren't the same without Lonzo Ball. That's a trickle-down effect from the top. You ain't did nothing. You ain't try to move. You tried to go get Tristan Thompson out of a buyout market. You sat there. You stood pat after the first half of last season. You stood pat. The same problems were still present. And you said, nah, we ain't going to do nothing. We're gonna sign Pat Bev though. Oh, he's a Chicago kid. We're just gonna pacify the problem. Chicago's gonna love him because he's from the west side of Chicago. He's a Chicago kid. He's gonna bring energy. He's gonna bring fire. But what was that, bro? What did that land us? Nothing. You sat on your ass. Let's just keep it a buck. They sat on their ass, and that is just how they've been carrying themselves for the last 3 years in Chicago. This front office, this ownership, they don't care. So they deserve most of the blame. They deserve the blame. Look at your team this year. Look at your team this year. In 15 games of play, your Chicago Bulls have been blown out 5 times. Out of 15 games, your team has been blown out 5 times. That's a third of your games played. You've seen 2 3-game losing streaks. They still haven't won 2 games in a row, ladies and gentlemen. They just went through a stretch of 7 out of the last 8 games were at home, and they went 3-5. You didn't have to travel. You had to take a bus ride to Milwaukee. Whoop-de-doo. Whoop-de-damn-doo. That is a problem. And then you get people like me. I'm still going to buy this dumbass merch. Still going to rock the Bulls. That's because I love the name that's on the front, not that's on the back. Like I said, the teams that are in Chicago sports industry are supposed to be a representation of its people. It's some weak-ass people in Chicago. You could say that about just about anywhere. But I guarantee if you listen to me right now, you can all agree with me. Majority of the people in Chicago, we hard-nosed. We take our ass to work. We take care of business. And we stand on business. And if all hell goes wrong, we going to show some damn heart. Tell me when the last time this Bulls team showed some damn heart. Tell me. You can't. You can't. Right now, it's just a bunch of finger pointing amongst your players. Hey, we got to do this. We got to do this. Hey, we tired of the lip service, bro. We are sick and tired of lip service. Put the action on film. Put it all on the floor. I know some guys that hooped on 63rd that left it on a concrete court. Probably why we all got bad knees, but that ain't the point. That ain't the point, bruh. But my guys from 63rd over there in the lakefront, they used to hoop up there. No, you was hooping. You had to hoop. You ain't have a choice but to hoop and pick yourself back up. These guys need to pick themselves back up. But unfortunately, with the guys controlling all the moves, it's going to be difficult. Your star players don't seem interested, ladies and gentlemen. Zach LaVine took 9 shots yesterday. DeMar DeRozan took 10 shots yesterday, bro. 10 shots yesterday, bro. Unacceptable, right? Exactly. Unacceptable and a bad representation of what Chicago is really about. I can go on forever, but I'm going to just go ahead and stop it right there. Let me know, who do you guys think deserves the most blame in Chicago? Y'all heard my take. I'm going with the front office and ownership because they are the leaders of this team. They make all the decisions, ladies and gentlemen. And I understand there might be some pushback. And they say, hey, we got to wait till December 15th so things open up a little bit more. I understand that. And I'm totally fine with that. But what about your head coach, too? What about your head coach, too? Enough is enough. I still feel like Billy Donovan's still getting pats on the back for a good job he's doing. Ain't shit good about it. But y'all let me know, man. That's it for me today. Make sure you comment below. Let's chop it up. Let's see what we can do. Let's get some of this frustration out on this team because, man, we definitely will need some relief after this. Make sure you drink responsibly and you don't do hard drugs, because we ain't having it. Don't do it. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. If you want to sound out, call in so you can be a part of a mailbag episode with me and C-Dub. We'll react to your call, and we gonna talk. That number is 773-242-9219. This is another episode of Shy Boys Podcast. I'm Bobby. I'm going to catch y'all on the next one, for sure. Cognac.